screen. Those who are attending in online, am I audible? Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those who are attending in online. Guys, everybody, please respond to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those who are attending in online. What we completed, guys, in the last session, identity mismatch, that all the points we completed there. Now again, the next one is like what there. What is the requirement of the ORM we understood. After this, what are the various ORM implementations are available? What exactly the ORM implementations are available, that we have to understand. Basically, ORM is an approach or ORM is what there is an approach or a set of rules and regulations. Which are implemented by the number of tools, which are implemented by number of tools. What are the various tools are provided here? Now the first one is what there. EJB is entity beans. Second one is what there, Hibernate. Third one is what there, JPA, Open JPA, and so on. So many things are available. Then immediately here we are getting a question, one important interview question here we are getting there. Let's understand the question here. Our question is what there. What are the differences between entity beans and Hibernate? What are the differences between entity beans and Hibernate? This question here we are able to provide. Okay. Right, sir. What are the differences between entity beans and Hibernate? Now let's understand this point clearly. EJB's entity beans is more API dependent. How can you say that it is more API dependent? No, it is dependent on more predefined library, where the entity bean class must extend or implement predefined libraries which are provided by EJBs. Okay. But Hibernate is not like what they're more API dependent. Hibernate is less API dependent. Hibernate is one there, less API dependent. Why? Because Hibernate will use POSO classes as bean components. We know already where POSO class is a Java class. Come on guys, now tell me what is this POSO class actually? In Spring also we completed this point here. What is this POSO class actually? Now tell me. Answer for it. What is POSO class now? Where POSO class is a Java bean class. It will not extend or implement any predefined library. It will not extend or implement any predefined library. Okay. Right, sir. Next one is what? After this, after understanding this point, okay? As EJB, entity beans, are more API dependent. It is very difficult. It is very difficult as EJB entity beans are more API dependent. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to perform debugging and testing. Next one is what? As a Hibernate is less API dependent, it is very simple to perform debugging and testing. Right, sir. Now the point is what? Wherever more predefined library dependencies available, their debugging and testing both are difficult. Where less dependencies available on predefined library, their debugging and testing are very simple. Try to understand it clearly. This is one point. Next one is what? After this, after completion of this, no. It is not possible to apply inheritance relation between bean components inside the EJBs. Why? Because already bean components are extending some predefined library. So it's not possible to extend bean components inside the inheritance in the case of like what the EJBs entity beans, but it is possible to provide inheritance in between bean classes inside the Hibernate. Okay. Right. So the point is what? Third point, no. In case of EJBs entity beans, in case of EJBs entity beans, bean components, or else it is not possible to extend one bean component to another bean component. It's not possible to extend one bean component to another bean component. Why? Because bean components are already extended some predefined library. Okay. Next one is after that. In case of Hibernate, it is possible to extend one bean components to another bean component. It is possible to extend one bean component to another bean component. Why? Because in Hibernate all bean components are POSO classes. All bean components are what? They're POSO classes. Next one is another important point is what there. EJB's entity beans require application server to execute. EJB's entity beans required an application server to execute. But Hibernate applications are executed with or without the application server. In standalone applications also we can implement what there Hibernate. Even at server side applications also we are going to implement what there Hibernate. In all the cases we are able to provide what there Hibernate applications clearly. Alright sir. Due to this reason here we can give conclusion here. Right, due to this reason we can understand not only this, another point here I am telling here. EJB's entity beans is a heavyweight. EJB's entity beans is what their heavyweight. But Hibernate is lightweight. Hibernate is what their lightweight. Another point here. EJB's is what their lightweight. Next one is what? After this, heavyweight and lightweight in the sense. One more point here we are able to say that. What is that point here? EJB's entity beans are less portable. Why? Because it must require what their application server dependency is available, but Hibernate doesn't have any dependency. So Hibernate is more portable. Next one is after that. EJB's entity beans are slow in performance, slower data persistence mechanism, but Hibernate is a relatively faster persistence mechanism. These are overall differences here what we are getting clearly. Guys, observe carefully what exactly the points I am telling to you. Now ORM is an approach or a set of rules and regulations which are implemented by the number of tools. What are the various tools which are implementing this Hibernate here? Sorry, this ORM here. EJB's entity beans, Hibernate, JPA, Open JPA, and so on, so many. What are the differences between entity beans and Hibernate? No, there we are getting so many differences here. First one is what there. EJB's entity beans is more API dependent, where the entity bean class must extend or implement predefined library which are provided by EJBs. Hibernate is less API dependent, because Hibernate will use POSO classes as bean components. Where POSO class is a Java bean class, it will not extend or implement any predefined library. As EJB's entity beans are more API dependent, it's very difficult to perform debugging and testing. As a Hibernate is less API dependent, it's very simple to perform debugging and testing. In case of EJB's entity beans, it is not possible to extend one bean component another bean component. Why? Because bean components are less extended. Bean components are already extended from some predefined library. In case of Hibernate, it is possible to extend one bean component another bean component. Why? Because in Hibernate, all bean components are POSO classes. EJB's entity beans required an application server to execute Hibernate applications. Hibernate applications are executed with or without the application server. EJB's entity beans are heavyweight, whereas Hibernate is lightweight. EJB's entity beans are less portable, but whereas Hibernate is what they're more portable. EJB's entity beans are slower data persistence mechanism. Hibernate is relatively faster persistence mechanism. That's it. These are overall the differences here what we are getting between EJB's entity beans and what next one here Hibernate. Because of these many reasons only, still Hibernate is getting somewhat demand when compared with what their EJB is. And EJBs are totally outdated, not required to use. But in the case of this Hibernate, no, Hibernate is somewhat better when compared with what their entity beans can. Just leave this one. Right, sir. Now next one is like what there. We have one more question now. Then this is another important question here. We have to understand it. What about this another question here? What is the difference between JPA and Hibernate? What is the difference between JPA and Hibernate? JPA is what there? Abbreviation for JPA is what there? Java Persistence API is an abstraction. JPA, Java Persistence API, is an abstraction provided by Sun Microsystems, and implemented by almost all the application servers like WebLogic, Wildfly, Glassfish, and so on. And what is its intention actually? Implemented by so many servers, it's okay. And JPA define a set of rules and regulations, or set of conventions to implement ORM. To implement what their ORM, rules and regulations. That means JPA is an abstraction provided by Sun Microsystems and it was implemented by so many application servers. As part of their application server, JPA is one of the services. Okay. But what it has given there, it has defined some guidelines how to implement ORM. It has defined some guidelines about to implement ORM. That's it. How to implement ORM. Right. That's the point here I'm telling you. But Hibernate is what? Hibernate is a tool. Hibernate is a tool which implements ORM, which implements. Hibernate is a tool which implements ORM rules and regulations as per the JPA guidelines. As per what their JPA guidelines. Okay, right. So now Hibernate is a tool which implements ORM rules and regulations as per the JPA guidelines in order to provide data persistence in the enterprise applications. Hibernate is a tool which implements ORM rules and regulations as per the JPA guidelines in order to provide data persistence in the enterprise applications. This is exactly the meaning of like what there Hibernate. Hibernate content here what we are getting. That's okay, fine. Next one is what there after this Hibernate history. Right, sir. Overall, that what exactly the differences between technologies that we understood? What are the difference between NDBeans and Hibernate? And what are the difference between JPA and Hibernate that we understood there? So JPA is what there is a set of guidelines which it describes how to implement ORM rules and regulations. But Hibernate is a product, is a tool which implements ORM rules and regulations as per the JPA guidelines in order to provide data persistence in the enterprise applications. Alright, sir. Now if we observe this next one, Hibernate history, if we observe this. So who is the author for this Hibernate, guys? Any idea? I think I forgot it. Who is that? Rod Johnson. Rod Johnson is for what purpose there? For Spring Framework, I think so. Then, guys, any idea who is this Hibernate author? Yeah, right. Gavin King, I think so. Gavin King, yes. This is the author for Hibernate. Objective. What is the purpose of this one? To simplify data persistence in the enterprise applications. To simplify data persistence in the enterprise applications. Type is what there? Type is what there? ORM implementations. ORM product. Alright, sir. Is it open or licensed? If you observe this, this is open source software. Open source software. What are the initial version of the Hibernate is what there? 1.x version. Latest version, I think so. Guys, what is the latest version of the Hibernate? No, I think so. It may be 6.x version, but let me check it. Yeah, Hibernate 6.4.0. This might be the latest version here. Yeah, the latest version of the Hibernate is what there? 6.4. Right, sir. 6.4 is the latest version of the Hibernate that we can identify. Right. Now tell me, design platform. Designed on Java. Hibernate is designed on what there? Java. Website www.hibernate.org. Right, so now these are about like what there, all the details here we can identify clearly. So this is somewhat story about this Hibernate, how this Hibernate is available, what are the various points about this Hibernate here. Other for this Hibernate is what there? 7.0 is available, Hibernate. Ganesh, are you sure about this Hibernate? 7.0. Source.net, we are able to get it. From this, we can download it. Yeah, right. This is Hibernate search. Hibernate-search. We don't require this Hibernate search, guys. Hibernate ORM is required. Yeah, this is the latest stable. Hibernate ORM 6.4 only. Hibernate.org. ORM releases. Latest stable is 6.4 only. Ganesh, are you getting it? What I'm telling there? Hibernate search is different. Hibernate ORM is different. Now we require what there? Hibernate ORM, not a Hibernate search. Yeah, it's okay. Right. Then after this, after completion of this, then what next one here we are able to do now? Observe carefully. Now here we need to understand the next point is like what there? Hibernate features. The next content is what there? Hibernate features. Hibernate features. What are the various features which are available for this Hibernate? No. Then the very first one, observe carefully. Hibernate is a database independent. Hibernate is a database independent. It will be used for any type of databases. Hibernate is what there? Database independent. It will be used for any type of database. Okay. Right, sir. Hibernate is what there? Database independent. Now the next one is like what there? Are you getting this point here? Then we can use any database for what there? Hibernate applications. Maybe Oracle or maybe MySQL or anything here we can use now. Right, sir? Next one is after that. Hibernate is suitable for all the types of applications like web applications and distributed applications, including standalone applications and so on. Hybrid is suitable for what there? All the types of applications. It's not like only one type of application. All the types of applications it's suitable, right? Right, sir. Hibernate is able to provide Hibernate is able to provide very good support for associations and joins. Hibernate is able to provide very good support for associations and joins. Alright, sir. Hibernate has the annotation support to reduce XML dependency. XML dependency. Yeah, even in our class also, for each and every topic in Hibernate, we are going to check with what their annotations also parallel to this XML. First, I will show with XML configuration, then immediately I will show with what their annotations. That both here we are able to see now. So it has very good the annotation support. Annotations are available inside this Hibernate. Moreover, which annotations it uses there, JPA provided annotations also be utilized by this Hibernate. Okay, right, sir. Next one is what there. Hibernate has its own primary key generation algorithms. Hibernate has its own implementations. Hibernate has its own implementations for the primary key generation algorithms. In general, number of primary key generation algorithms are available. Almost 11 to 12 number of primary key generation algorithms are available that in general provided by implemented by almost all the persistence mechanisms. Similarly, Hibernate has provided its own implementations for what their primary key generation algorithms. Primary key values are not required to be provided by the developers, automatic users. Primary key values will be provided by the database implementations only. That means the Hibernate tool only. Right, sir? Next one is Hibernate has a very good collection support. Hibernate has what there very good collection support. Why? Because collection support to insert, that means while performing database operations. Hybrid has a very good collection support while performing database operations. Why? Because for example, I have 10 records in my database now. All 10 records I want to get into the Java application. To get all these 10 records into the Java application, first we have to create a bean component, POSO class. All 10 records we are going to retrieve from database table. All 10 records we are going to keep inside the bean object. That bean objects are going to be maintained in the form of a collection. So collection support is required. So collections are going to be used there to get all the details of the respective database table. Right, sir. Next one is, in general in Hibernate we are not going to write SQL queries. Writing SQL queries is not an idea inside the Hibernate. Hibernate is not allowing us to write SQL queries mainly. But Hibernate has its own query language. Hibernate has its own query language in the form of HQL. In the form of what there? HQL. Hibernate has its own query language in the form of like what there? HQL. Right, sir. For example, guys, now observe carefully. Employee table is available. In employee table, 10 records are available. I want to perform 10 times that select SQL query. I want to perform 10 times the same select SQL query. If you want to include the same select SQL query 10 times, no, all 10 times same results are going to be generated. But in all 10 times connect with the database and getting results in the sense, it will be a heavyweight solution. It will be like what the heavyweight solution. There we have to reduce the option. There we have to reduce the content. In this particular case, to reduce the number of database interactions, we are going to use cache mechanisms. That cache mechanisms are maintained by Hibernate. Hibernate has its own cache mechanisms implementation to hold the results in order to reuse the same results. Okay, right. So now the point is what there. Hibernate has Hibernate has Hibernate has Hibernate has its own its own implementations for the cache mechanisms to hold the results in order to reuse the same results in the applications. Right, so this is one thing. Next one is what? After completion of this. Okay. Right, sir. Next one is after completion of this. Then another point is like what there. Hibernate has a very good connection pooling. Hibernate has very good connection pooling mechanism support. Yeah, connection pooling mechanisms are available in general. In JDBC also we have seen that connection pooling mechanisms, but it was very good in the case of like what there Hibernate. Hibernate has very good connection pooling support, connection pooling mechanism support. Right, sir. Now, Hibernate Hibernate, what it has there? Hibernate is supported by almost all the servers and IDEs. Yeah, nowadays almost all IDEs are supporting this Hibernate. Next one is. Alright, sir. Now, in Hibernate applications, it is not required to write SQL queries. It is not required to write SQL queries. In the case of Hibernate, it is not required to write what there SQL queries. Everybody understand this clearly. It is not required to write what there SQL queries. Alright. Next one is what there Hibernate is providing. Hibernate is providing very good transaction support. Hibernate is providing what there very good transaction support, guys. That's it. So these are the various features which are having inside this Hibernate. Hibernate is database independent. It will be used for any type of databases, maybe Oracle or maybe MySQL or maybe anything. Hibernate is suitable for all the types of applications like web applications, distributed applications, standalone applications, and so on. Hibernate is able to provide very good support for associations and joins. Right. Next one is Hibernate has Hibernate has very good annotation support to reduce XML dependency. Hibernate has its own implementations for all primary key generation algorithms. Hibernate has a very good collection support while performing database operations. Hibernate has its own query language in the form of HQL. Hibernate has its own implementations for the caching mechanisms to hold the results in order to reuse the same results in the applications. Hibernate has a very good connection pooling mechanisms. It has a default connection pooling mechanism. Not only the default connection pooling mechanism, it is able to provide not only default connection pooling mechanism, it is supporting from some third-party connection pooling mechanisms and supporting for application server provided connection pooling mechanisms. Right. So then after that, Hibernate is supported by almost all the servers and IDEs. Then Hibernate applications, it is not required to write SQL queries, but Hibernate is providing a very good transaction support. So these are overall the features of this Hibernate clearly. Alright, then after completion of this Hibernate features, what next one here we are going to understand there. Hibernate architecture here we have to understand. What next one here we are going to see, Hibernate architecture. or Hibernate component. Inside the Hibernate component or Hibernate architecture, what we are having there, now try to understand it clearly. Hibernate architecture. Guys, just give a minute of time. I'll start it now. 1 minute of time. Guys, just have taken 1 minute gap. Now All of you are getting my voice now? Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen now? Just have taken 1 minute gap. Alright, sir. Now, Hibernate architecture. Here we have to understand what is going to be available inside this Hibernate architecture. If you observe this, I'll give you some clarity and try to understand it now. I'll show in the form of a diagram. Right, so now this is a Hibernate software. Hibernate software. Now this is Hibernate configuration file. Hibernate configuration file. This is Hibernate mapping file. Hibernate mapping file. Now here we are going to have database. This is database. Okay. Then after this, now get what we are getting there. Here client application here we are having. This is like what their client application. Okay. After this, what you are having there, this here we are able to have some persistence object. Persistence object. Right. Now database connection is also existed again. Right. So now this is entirely Hibernate architecture what we are having. First of all, let's understand what is what is what. What is the purpose of this? All this now. Now let's understand it clearly. First of all, let's understand Hibernate configuration file. What is the purpose of this HIBERNATE configuration file? HIBERNATE configuration file is going to include all the configuration details which are required to connect with the database. HIBERNATE configuration file is able to include all the configuration details which are required to connect with the database. First of all, driver class is required. Driver class. What about this driver class? Can we require now? Com dot mysql dot cj dot jdbc dot driver. Next one is URL. Driver URL. Of course, this is like what the driver underscore class. jdbc colon mysql colon slashes localhost colon 3306. URL is required. Username, database username or root, database password, root. Apart from this, one more thing is available, dialect. This I will explain to you when we are moving to the components of this HIBERNATE. Dialect. Now inside this dialect, what we required here about this dialect, no? MySQL dialect. These are the details here we are going to provide inside like what there HIBERNATE configuration file. HIBERNATE configuration file is able to provide all the configuration details of the HIBERNATE which are required to connect with the databases. That okay, that we are getting clearly. Next one is after that. Now in the database we are going to have a table. What table here we are having this? Just say for example EMP1 table. Inside this EMP1 table we have columns like what there? ENO, ENAME, ECL, EADDR. Okay. Now here we are able to have this table. Now inside the database is available here. At the same time, I want to create POSO class object. This is a POSO class object. This is EMP1. Something else I want to take the data. Like this. That EMP1 table is available. EMP1 persistence object here we created. After this, what is the job of this? What is the now in this case, what is the job of this mapping file actually? Mapping file is providing exactly the mapping details between POSO class and the respective table. What mapping details here we are going to provide there, we can understand it, no? Now, employee is the class name that should be mapped with the EMP1 table. ID property ENO to ENO, ename to ename to equal to EADDR to EADDR. Like this, here we are getting these details. Mapping details are provided inside the mapping file. Of course, that mapping file name here I want to provide like what there employee poso class name dot HBM.xml. Like this, here we are able to provide. And this configuration file name is like what there hibernate.cfg.xml. These are the default names. By default conventions here I am providing now. Right. Now client application. What exactly the purpose of this client application? What we are going to do there with this client application? Answer is very clear. Client application will perform some activities. What exactly the work it will do there? First of all, it will activate Hibernate software. Second one is what they create persistence object. Third one is perform the persistence operations. Okay. Say for example, now I'm going to perform the persistence operation like what there save. Here if I perform like what there save of EMP1. EMP1 object is created. Save of EMP1. If we create no, if we access no, automatically what is going to be happen there? First of all, Hibernate software will be activated. At the time of activating this Hibernate software, it will get all the configuration details. Then by getting all the configuration details, it will establish connection with the database. Then after that, it will get all the mapping details now for POSO class. What exactly mapping details it is able to provide. Then after that, it is able to prepare SQL query. Inside SQL query, it will prepare internally. When it prepare SQL query internally, when it prepare SQL query internally on the basis of the dialect, then that query will be executed. By the execution of that query, automatically data will be stored inside the table 111 AAA 5000 Hyderabad. The data will be stored into the database table. Right, so now this is totally the Hibernate architecture, flow of execution also. When we execute the client application, it will activate the Hibernate software. When it activates the Hibernate software, it will get configuration details from the Hibernate configuration file and establish a connection, and it will implement. It will get the details like what the mapping details. It will make it everything. Right, because of this persistence operation save method, it will create an insert SQL query. That SQL query will be prepared on the basis of this mapping details only. It will perform the database operations, then it able to insert the data into the database table. This is clearly that Hibernate, like what I'm telling there, architecture, what we are having clearly. Right, sir, Hibernate architecture here we are getting clearly. Right. Now, whenever we are taking this Hibernate architecture, the data here we have to provide internal data. What happened internally, how this Hibernate is going to be performed here. Right, sir. Each and every component information here we have to write. Okay, guys. Then that explanation, that means the remaining part of the document, that means about this particular architecture, whatever the document is available, the document I will prepare on tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow we are going to see the content. I'm going to complete this tomorrow, the total part here. After completion of this total content tomorrow, Tomorrow we will start to directly steps to prepare Hibernate application. That part I will discuss with you. Steps to prepare Hibernate application that we are going to understand clearly. Okay, right, sir. Or else maybe Hibernate components or steps to prepare Hibernate that we are going to understand that in tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll go for the remaining part. Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks a lot. Tomorrow I'll give information to you, but max tomorrow I'll try to take the class in offline, guys. But the projectors are not working. There's a problem there. Otherwise, I want to take these classes in offline, but projects are not working. Definitely, I'll check the status and I'll give updations to you whether I'm going to take in online or in offline. As per that, you can attend for the classes now. Okay. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks a lot. I'll meet on tomorrow.